Do you ever feel like if you were to disappear, people would just move on? Like your presence matters, but not enough for anything to really change if you weren't there anymore. Like people care about you, but not in a way that makes you feel important. That feeling of being replaceable is one of the hardest things to deal with because it doesn't always come from being one big moment. It builds slowly over time from little things that start to add up in your day-to-day life. That feeling doesn't usually come from nowhere. It comes from experiences that slowly shape how you see yourself as a person. Moments where you might feel left out, or times where you weren't included. Situations where people didn't choose you the way that you thought that they would. But at the same time, those moments might not seem like a big deal on their own. But when they happen repeatedly, they start forming a pattern. And your brain starts connecting those experiences together, creating a belief that kind of tells you that you're not important. And it's not something you choose to believe. It's something your mind kind of builds based on what it's seen and it's felt over time. And it's not your fault for feeling this way. But another reason this feeling gets even stronger is because oftentimes we like to compare. It's kind of a default thing that we all do. You start looking at other people and how they're treated. You see them get attention, being prioritized, being chosen in situations where you weren't. And kind of subconsciously, without even realizing it, you start measuring your worth to that. You begin asking yourself questions like, why do they have it? And why can't I have it? Or what am I doing wrong? Why are they enough but I'm not? Things like that. But the more that you compare, the more you start lowering your own value in your head. Not because you actually physically have less value, but because you're constantly viewing yourself through a lens that focuses on what you think that you lack. And a lot of the time, the people who feel the most replaceable are the ones who give the most. You give your time, you give your energy, you listen to people. You show up for people when they need you, right? And when that effort isn't seen or returned, it creates this gap. And that gap can make you feel like what you give isn't as important as you thought it was. It makes you question whether your presence actually mattered to people. And over time, that turns into this feeling that anyone could replace you. Because it doesn't feel like what you bring to the table is being valued the way that it should be. And on top of that, social media will and can make this feeling even stronger because you're constantly seeing people living their lives, hanging out, laughing, moving forward. From the outside, it looks like everything continues normally without you. It looks like people are doing just fine, even if you're not there. Even though social media only shows maybe a small part of reality, your brain will still process it as the full picture. And that can kind of further reinforce the idea that your presence doesn't make as much of a difference as you thought. But here's the thing that doesn't really get talked about enough. People can and will replace your role in their life. But they can't replace who you are. Someone else might take your place in a situation. Someone else might fill the space that you used to be in. But that doesn't mean they replaced who you are as a person, because no one else has your exact perspective. No one else has your exact personality or thinks the way you think, feels the way you think, or experiences the things that you experienced in the same ways that you did. The way that you exist in someone's life is so unique, even if it doesn't always feel like it. And just because people adapt when you're gone doesn't mean you're meaningless when you were there. So if you've been feeling like you don't matter as much as you should, or like people could move on from you without it affecting them, I want you to know that feeling is real. It's okay to feel like that, but that doesn't always mean it's true. It just means your experiences made you feel the way you do. It means your mind is trying to make sense of things that hurt you. But feelings aren't always facts. And just because you feel replaceable doesn't mean you actually are. You matter in ways that aren't always obvious, even if people don't always show it in the way that you need. And even if it feels like sometimes you're not as replaceable as your mind makes you believe. That's all I have for you guys today. And as always, stay rolly.